Okay, Mark, a nation mourns. Christine Keeler, the famous good time girl from the Profumo scandal, has died aged 75. Fascinatingly, she gets all over the front pages again.
Why?
Well,
helped by the iconic picture taken by
I forgot his fucking name.
Lewis Morley, not David Bailey. Well, every ubiquitous picture from the 1960s was supposedly taken by David Bailey. Actually, it's Lewis Morley.
Yeah,
but that did help. But go on, sorry.
I think it's a lot more than just that picture. This was the 1961 scandal that many say was the gateway to modern Britain. You know, suddenly a government basically fell because of this prostitution scandal, that a senior minister was not only cavorting with good time girls, but then of course more pertinently lied about it and therefore had to resign, and the Macmillan government subsequently fell.
And a crusading newspaper who went for the story, I think.
Well,
at the
look,
time.
I'll tell you what's interesting about the iconic Keeler scandal was that it was when newspapers learnt how to manufacture a scandal. It's not enough to just say that a senior minister was larking around in bed with a hooker. You have to give it serious ramifications. And what made the Keeler scandal really work was they subsequently discovered she was also bonking a Russian spy. So therefore, the implication...
military attaché.
The implication was that Profumo, via Keeler, could have been unknowingly leaking state secrets to this Russian guy, Pillow Talk. It was a load of bollocks, but it gave the story a serious level of importance that made the scandal work. And ever since then, newspapers have always sought to do that with scandals, to give them state security ramifications, and that makes them very, very proper stories.
The other side of the Profumo scandal for me that I've always found very interesting at the time is what happened to John Profumo. What he did was to take the pearl-handled revolver into a room and ended his career and created a whole exercise of contrition for years and years. Never stepped back into public life, never spoke about it in detail, tight-lipped, put his back into charity work, and to a certain extent, that was it for him. Yeah. We've seen countless scandals in politics and public life where nobody has chosen the route of Profumo. It's quite interesting that whatever mistakes, how big or small the story was, Profumo felt as a gentleman he should retire out of public life.
Yeah, but Profumo acted with honour, and his fate hinged on the fact not that he'd cavorted with a hooker, or even that he ludicrously, allegedly risked state secrets. It was the fact that he lied to the House of Commons, and that is a historical fact that you don't see anymore.
You know how many people are lying to House of Commons
now to be a politician in the House of Commons is to be a professional liar. They lie all the time.
And corporate, if you take...
So yeah. there's a sense of old school honour about Profumo's downfall that...
Could we learn from that? Could people in public... I always felt that people could learn from it.
Because we've now abrogated that. We don't do that. It seems people don't go because they lie anymore.
Okay. Or they can survive a scandal and return.
Yeah.
And I think there's a greater degree of collusion between the various parties involved with a scandal to actually perhaps sometimes sacrifice somebody to keep a career going or disappear. The old movie stars, back in the day when there was a scandal, the publicists would shove them on one of the liners crossing the Atlantic, and 6 weeks later the scandal will have disappeared, or deals would have been done. But now we don't have the sort of time. And if you look back on the headlines that surrounded the Profumo scandal, it kept on coming back over a period of time. And to a certain extent, we don't have that same longevity. We're looking for the next story. So
yes and no. The reason that the Keeler Profumo scandal had such legs was because of this national security dimension that was pretty much fabricated. I mean, the fact that the constituents of the scandal were there oh, she also slept with a Russian spy, therefore state secrets are at risk. It was just a proposition, but that made the government have to take it very, very seriously because the papers made them. The papers, really, what they came up with in that one, and they still try and do it, is that it gave them an excuse to talk about sexy, titillating things for weeks on end. People like to read about sex. Well, with the Keeler scandal, they managed to make the sex nationally important. And I think it's interesting that what really happened with the Keeler scandal was, in many ways, it certainly opened the gate to the 1960s, the swinging 60s, probably the gate to modern Britain, but it also was the day or the time where the newspapers worked out how to lay out the anatomy of a scandal, how to make a scandal really work. And it is still a textbook lesson in how to make a scandal last and to shock the nation when they didn't have to be shocked at all.
And 1,000 furniture companies have sold fake models of that designer chair, and I just wonder how much money that photograph has generated.
I bet you it's like millions and millions and millions of pounds. So, and who amongst us doesn't, when we pick up a chair like that, straddle our legs around it and go, look, Christine Keeler. Anyway,
no,
I think that's enough of Christine Keeler.
That's an image I want to eradicate now.